Hey there, James Martin, immigration attorney, here to help you out. Let's have a heart-to-heart talk. In 6 months, Trump has done more to dismantle due process and the immigration system than any of the presidents that I have seen combined in the last 30 plus years. So is it time to give up? Is it time to leave? Is it time to throw in the towel, get your savings together, and go back? Let's dive into that just a little bit. I see all kinds of people in my office. I see people who are undocumented and have been very, very fortunate and have lived the American dream, and they probably have more money than me, and they're approaching retirement age. They could possibly go back to their home country if the conditions in the home country are safe and if it would not be too disruptive to them, because they have put down roots here in the United States and they cannot fathom leaving behind family, children, grandchildren. But at the end, would it not be better in that case just to leave? Well, it really depends upon your particular situation. Because if there is some way for you to become a permanent resident and to remain permanently in the United States, and it's feasible, then maybe that is not the answer. Don't throw in the towel. Don't leave. But if there is no solution available to you, then maybe it's time to just throw in the towel and leave and live a life of dignity without fear of having immigration knock on the door, come after you, detain you, whatever they may do. Now, these are really difficult questions because by leaving, you're giving in to what the president wants. He wants to terrorize us and scare us and cause us to do all kinds of things because he's gaslighting us every single day. But the reality is that there are problems and there is the potential to be detained and there is the potential to be detained for quite a while until they would move an undocumented person out of the country. So honestly, I have to tell you, leaving is not really off the table given the circumstances, but these are very individualized decisions. If I had my way, everybody who has come to the United States would be able to get their papers and to live here lawfully in security, provided that they obey the laws of the United States and that they pay their taxes and maybe even pay a small penalty for having violated immigration laws if that's the case. But there's a big difference between what I would want and what the real situation on the ground is. Now let's flip that. Let's say that you came to this country, you've worked very, very hard. You've done the best you can, because that's 99% of the people that I see. But you haven't been able to save all that money. You didn't start your own business. You didn't do all of these things that first scenario talked about. So you don't have a lot of money to go back to your country, but you do have some form of relief, which may be asylum, or a family member, a child, and you happen to come in with a visa, or if you, for example, marry a U.S. citizen and in the long run, you have the ability to get your papers. Then I would say, consider fighting it out and filing the paperwork. But what I would not recommend under any circumstances is just to proceed on your own in an uninformed way. You need to be informed with knowledge. You need the expertise that only an attorney, not even a notario, can give you. Why is that? Because there are many, many developments afoot. For example, some people who are here in an unlawful status still may not be able to legalize themselves, even if they're married to a U.S. citizen, if that citizen is a permanent resident and they do not have an immediate way of getting their green card. Why is that? Because the Trump administration has said that people who apply for an immigration benefit and who are here unlawfully but do not qualify to get their green card at the same time that they apply for the family petition, well, those people may be subject to removal proceedings. So you need to be very careful. Timing is very important as to when you put in your application, under what circumstances. For example, a foreign national married to a legal permanent resident may want to not file their immigration paperwork until that permanent resident becomes a U.S. citizen and they are not subject to being deported, or they would always still be subject to being deported, but they would have a way of getting around the deportation because they can get their papers here in the United States. So stay, go, what do you do? It's really, really up to you. It's a very individualized decision, but I believe that it really should be an informed decision. And some of us immigration attorneys are beginning to reflect and think that maybe even for us, that living abroad would be a viable option for us given the difficulty that our clients are facing and the wholesale attack on the system. So what do you do about it? I've given you a lot of food for thought, but I haven't really given you the answers. I can't give you those answers because each decision is an individualized decision. You have to do what is best for you. You have to balance a lot of different factors. You have to balance whether it's possible for you to get your green card, your permanent residency, and remain permanently in the United States. You have to balance whether you can stomach living in some insecurity, because these are very troubling and disquieting times. And you have to decide whether, if you were to leave, what about your family that you have here? So really, it comes down to three things. It comes down to feasibility of getting legal status here, whether you can stand the uncertainty, and your family considerations. I've left one out, though. You also have to look at your economic considerations. Because grandchildren can visit you if you have a nice place to stay in your home country, if you have that economic situation. So your economic situation comes into play as well. But now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to get informed. Now is the time to start thinking about these things, not in a reactive way. Because if you do it in a reactive way, you could be detained by immigration. And then the decision, more or less, has pretty much been made up for you. Because then the decision, if you are detained, has been pretty much made up for you, and you won't have the options. So we're here to help. We're here to look at your case. We're here to see what we can do for you. We're here to honestly tell you what your options are. And based on that information, and knowledge is power, you can make the decision that is best for you. And who knows, maybe you and your immigration attorney will be sipping on Tai Tais on the Maya Coast Riviera in Mexico, because things just aren't going so well here. I jest. I still believe in this country, but you need to do what's best for you. God bless. If you need anything from me, tap on the link below. I can help you and give you the information that you need.